Hello everyone, I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Today I would like to share with you a very unique project, how to create the illusion of mosaic by simply using paper. I know mosaic is a very time-consuming project where you have to use all these materials and all these chemicals and all these steps, but we could create the illusion of mosaic tile with simply using paper. Today the materials that we are going to be using are a glue stick, a white glue stick, or any type of glue stick that you prefer. We're going to use 3 different cardstock paper, and you could decide whichever color to use. I bought some packages cardstock paper at Michael's, and they were on sale. They were 4 for $10. So it's a great place to shop for materials. But it depends on you, and you could decide what type of paper to use. But for this project, I believe it's better to use cardstock paper. So you're going to select 3 colors. I've decided to use the yellow, red, and blue or turquoise color. And after you decide your papers, you're going to pick 2 colors, 2 pieces of paper, and you're going to cut them into strips. You could cut them either 1 inch or 2 inch. But before I show you the steps, I want to show you the final. And this is the final result of this project, creating the illusion of mosaic with simply using paper. And it's, as you can tell, it's very creative, very clever. How by simply cutting strips and gluing them on in a very strategic way, we could create the illusion of mosaic. So let's get started. So I started with this project already. I cut out my strips with the yellow and with the red. So what I did, I put my 2 pieces together. I got my cutter, my chopper, and I started cutting away. You could either cut them, it depends on you, the size. You could do 2 inches, 1.5 inches, 1 inch. So it's really up to you, and that's how I did it. So it's easier to put the 2 papers together and cut the strips. And then I divided my strips into colors. And I mentioned that it was important to have 3 pieces of paper. The 2 pieces of papers are going to be to cut your strips down. The 3rd one is going to be our base. Like you see in my little example, I used a base right here to glue all the strips down. So decide what colors you want to use for your base. You could use bright colors so the colors stand out. You could use warm or cool colors or neutral colors. Or you could use black and white. Maybe that'll be a really interesting looking tile. So we're going to put our base to the side. On this, my example, my base is a little peach or brownish color. And then what I did, I put white over brown. My next line is black over yellow. Then here I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colors. But in this project, I've decided to use red on yellow, yellow on red. So this is the first step. Decide the background on the strips. So I'm going to start off by gluing my yellow strips to the yellow paper. So with our glue, and you could decide to use any type of glue that you like or do you prefer. Make sure the strip, you put a lot of glue on each strip. So once your strip has glue, you're going to glue your strip on top of the red. And as you can see, I'm not gluing the strip all the way to the edge of the paper. I'm leaving a little gap. And it's important to leave a little gap because this is This is how we create the illusion of mosaic. So you're going to glue all the strips all the way down. You're going to get a second strip. Add lots of glue. And then we're going to glue it on top on the right. Make sure to always leave a gap. That way we will be creating the illusion of mosaic. Free to do it as long as you want. You could do the whole page, half of it, depending on how much you're going to be using. I did a few examples a few months ago, and this is how it looks when you fill the whole page with strips. Looks like this. And these colors I used for Thanksgiving. I did a few cards for Thanksgiving, but for today I decided to use these colors. So the next step, this is kind of tricky. It will be to cut down the paper into strips again. So since I didn't use my whole sheet, I'm going to trim down a little bit so I don't get confused. And now I'm going to chop some of this off so the strips are even. You want to make sure you added enough glue to all the strips, because if you didn't, what's going to happen once you start cutting, making another cut, the little squares are going to fall off. And I'll show you what I mean right now. So right now, this is how it's going to look, all trimmed down. The next step, okay, now that we have our strips together, the next step will be to make other cuts. So you're going to get your piece of paper, you're going to put it in your chopper, and you're going to make a cut. On this one, you could decide how big you want your strips to be. It could be an inch and a half, or 2 inches. It's up to you. It depends what you're going to be using the strips for. So you're going to cut all the way. This is why it's very important to add enough glue to the strips, because if you don't, on this step, while you're cutting, some of the squares might fall off. So make sure you add enough glue. Okay, so these are my yellow, red strips. Now I'm going to do my red and my yellow. So the lines are glued horizontal, and the cuts are going to be vertical. So we keep going, cutting horizontal, and it's up to you. So down, we are going to start gluing our strips to the paper, and see right here, my little squares are falling off, so it's very important to add enough glue. If we don't add glue, they're going to start falling off. So make sure you add enough glue. So now we are going to start gluing our little strips to our base, and as you could tell, I changed the colors. I thought that the yellow and the red wouldn't go so well with the bluish, so I decided to go with the greenish tone paper. So you're going to add glue to your strip very gently, very careful, so the squares don't fall off. So what we're going to do, you are going to leave a little gap. You're not going to glue the strip all the way to the edge of the paper. You need to leave a little gap. And as you can tell, my strip is smaller, so later on when I'm done, I'm going to trim this little part. And you're going to keep going. Right, and my first choice was to glue the yellow on the red. Next, we're going to alternate. We're going to use the yellow on the red. The red on the yellow. Sorry. Okay, so this is how far I'm going to go. Just to quickly show you. So as you can tell, we have created our own tile. Yay! And it was very easy. Well, it's so complicated because we use paper. The magic of paper. So now I'm going to trim it a little bit so it looks nice and neat. Going to trim on the bottom too. Ta-da! We have created Mosaic out of paper. Isn't it a very creative project? Very clever. So this is the first step of our project. Our next step will be to create a card. I made a really quick example right here. I have this one. As you can tell, the centerpiece of this card is the mosaic. This is one of my first cards using mosaic. So I was experimenting. So now I'm gonna be creating a card, a very unique card and a special card for someone very special, using this piece of tile that we have created with paper. I hope you like this project, and I hope you try this at home because it's very neat. And as you could tell, it's very simple, and it's just a very clever way of creating the illusion of tile with simply using paper and a glue stick and a chopper or scissors. So I hope you like my video, and I hope you subscribe, and I hope you like this video. And this is part 1 of part 2.